All right. Hey, welcome into the post-game Twitter Spaces recording. This was originally a live Spaces. You can think of it like a sports call-in show. We recorded this immediately after the game ended, so the hot takes and opinions expressed here may not stand up to further scrutiny or review. It's just a snapshot in time about how we were feeling. Obviously, the emotions were running high following Charlotte's exit from the 2024 MLS Audi playoffs at the hands of Orlando City on a very controversial game. And it did seem like the better team did not come out on top. Since then, we have seen Christian Colina win Goalkeeper of the Year as he deserved. But take this with a big grain of salt and join us next time. You can find us on Twitter at QCS Pod. And I host the spaces at LVLUP_Luke. This is the Queen City Soccer Show. Enjoy. All right, we are starting out this Twitter Spaces tonight after Charlotte FC have fallen in the MLS playoffs to Orlando. Controversial night, controversial opinions. We're going to talk about it, see how you guys are feeling. For right now, we're just waiting on some more folks to show up in the spaces. If you are here and you'd like to speak, go ahead and shoot me a request. All right, I am Level Up Luke at LVLUP_Luke. This is the Queen City Soccer Show at QCS Pod. You can listen to the replays of the spaces on our podcast feed on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever fine podcasts are sold. But for now, like I said, we're talking Charlotte FC. We're talking the Carolina Ascent had a draw tonight against Spokane. Charlotte Independence have crashed out of the USL 1 playoffs. Greenville Triumph, I believe, are still alive and active in the USL 1 playoffs. But yeah, go ahead and shoot me a request to speak, and let's talk about Charlotte FC versus Orlando. Let's talk about any of your other soccer questions, soccer, topics here. So starting out tonight, I stayed home to watch the game, and I was, watching on Apple TV. I got to say, the broadcast crew was not phenomenal, in my opinion. They seemed, very minor league. I wasn't super impressed with their performance. The color commentator kept yelling over and over again that the penalty on Diani was clear and obvious. They kept showing replays that didn't show it happening, and he kept saying over the top of the replays, "Oh, it's clear and obvious. Why are they even checking this?" And every single replay showed nothing happening, or at best, minor contact. I just don't like that, man. When a commentating crew is directly opposing what you're watching with your own eyes, it takes away from the experience for me. I'm joined right now by Ash Hamrick. Ash, crazy game tonight. What'd you think, man?
Um, I'm lost for words, honestly. That penalty call was egregious. And I want every Orlando fan to think what they would have thought if that penalty had been called against them. I mean, I know MLS wants Orlando versus Miami so bad, but that's just ridiculous. And the offside goal that was called off, what the hell was that? The ref should not have put his flag up on that because it was nowhere close to offside. You can tell even in that crappy angle that it wasn't offside, and the fact that that's the angle they used in VAR is ridiculous. I mean, they might as well not even have VAR for that if they're going to be doing stuff like that. It's honestly insane. Um, Orlando, you should not feel good about this win at all. And it's not even a fucking win because penalty kicks are draws apparently. But I guess that only applies to Charlotte. But no, they should not feel good about this. They were gifted this by the referee. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing this opinion a lot from Charlotte FC fans, from neutrals. I'm curious if we have neutral fans in the chat. Feel free to shoot me a request. I'd love to hear your opinion on the game. We're joined by Soccer Sheet, and Sam is covering the game as media. He was in the post-game conference with Dean Smith and Ashley Westwood. Sam, tell me a little bit, about the game from your experience and the post-game interviews.
Yeah, anything I have to say about the game is probably not useful. I will say the fan base will clearly not like my opinion on uh, the handball getting called off. I do think the team was given one gift by the referees. I I thought the arm was a little bit out of natural position, but all that aside, on the post match press conference. Um, that was both Dino and Westy were livid. They were both just absolutely positively um, gobsmacked at the result here. They you know um, Ashley said something interesting, which was that when he got back to the locker room, he was getting texts from friends in the EPL who were wondering what on earth happened with that Ajimon call. Clearly, Dean, Westy, everybody in the club thinks that was a goal. Westwood also added, something interesting, which is that he feels like you can't talk to the refs in MLS. You can't have a conversation with them. It, it doesn't feel like the Premier League to him. And there was a lot of criticism tonight, and so far I believe that Westy and Dean have avoided criticism from the league, but I would not be surprised if they actually get their first fine from the league tonight.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Charlotte FC, I think you have to fight this, and I don't know what that looks like because they have a contract with MLS. I'm not sure how that's structured, but I mean, if there's legal avenues available, even escalating beyond the MLS challenge process, which is virtually non-existent. I mean, that's clearly an offsides penalty, and there had to be other camera angles, and for them not to review that and not to take a look at the Ajman goal that made the difference in the game, that significantly impacts Charlotte FC's financial position. And I mean, you have to challenge MLS on this. Like, they do not hold these referees to account. There's never penalties for referees that have unconscionable performances. Like, we talk about, not just me, but I have people come up to me in public and talk to me about the Torrey Penso Chicago Fire game and how it was the worst refereeing performance that many of us have seen. And there's no repercussions, there's no consequences for these kind of decisions. And when you have an assistant referee calling offside, when you can see visually with your own eyes that it's not offside, the angle is kind of weird. But the thing about angles is that they're math. So you can mathematically calculate where somebody is positioned based on angles. That's how math works. So for them to have video and not be able to review it and not be able to judge that the assistant referee was incorrect on an Ajman goal that changes the game. I mean, that's unbelievable. The penalty in the box for Diani, that's a lot more subjective. And I feel like that was simulation from Orlando. There was contact in the box. The player did not seem to have an angle at the ball where he could have been a realistic goal scorer. Um, but there was some contact from Diani. It looked
Yeah,
like,
but Luke,
go
Patrick
ahead,
Agyemang gets 100 times more contact every time the ball
easily.
comes near him, and nothing ever happens. I mean, holy shit, MLS. I get that you're biased and you don't like Charlotte, but this is just getting ridiculous at this point. I mean, after the Chicago game, I didn't think I would see anything as ridiculous from referees. God, I was freaking wrong. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, every game,
no.
I mean, it feels like we talk about the refs a disproportionate amount of the time. Even in games that we win, it feels like the referee performances are mind-boggling. And I do not have these conversations about Charlotte Independence. When I go to those games, once in a while, I'll have a complaint about the officiating, but it is what it is. And normally I chalk that up to that's how sports work. You're not going to agree with every call. Um, and that's a lower level of officiating. This is supposed to be the highest paid officials in the world in the sport of soccer. That new collective bargaining agreement
There
with
is
pro
no way they
referees.
are the highest officials paid in soccer in the world. They're
That's
for
my understanding.
that that are you kidding me?
I mean, I defer to Sam on this, but they're certainly not earning their paycheck when you watch a game like this and you see the missed calls, the VAR. I mean, first of all, in my experience watching MLS the last few years, you only call a referee over to VAR to show them something they would not have seen on the field, basically to overturn a call. So the recommendation from the VAR official was to overturn the call more likely than not. I'm not sure why else you would show the referee the video. And instead of doing that, he upheld the call on the field. Um, I didn't see a penalty there. And the commentator just repeating over and over and over and over and over again that it was a clear and obvious PK when every single video angle and clip they showed did not support that statement was bizarre to me. Um,
Well, and I think this goes to one thing that Dean said after the presser, which was, they were on there for 5 minutes. It's hard to believe anything other than um, the folks in Alexandria looking at the VAR. We're telling the first official, you've got to be kidding me, over and over again, and he wouldn't have it. So
yeah,
we on, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or sorry, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, MLS will send out a disciplinary report. And if you see a certain Orlando player getting a fine for simulation alongside Dino or Westy getting fined for comments against the refs, again, might not be surprised.
I
Did
mean,
was
so
Dino
yeah, I have to just ask a question. If they're sending out a disciplinary notice for simulation on what turned out to be a PK that sent the game into penalty kicks to decide the game, that directly impacts the outcome. And they also blew the offsides call. So that is Charlotte 2-0 in regulation that MLS, should have. And instead you have Orlando advancing after the game. What do you do in that situation if you're Charlotte FC, if you're the front office? That is mind boggling to me that it's a 2-0 Charlotte FC game that's decided as a 1-1 draw with Orlando advancing at penalty kicks. That's bizarre to me. How can you have that? Like in this league, we have rules, we have a structure, and those rules do not seem like they were followed.
And Ashley said a lot of things that fans are going to like in that press conference, because it is clear, coming into this season with everybody picking Charlotte to be terrible, and one person picking them to be eighth. The team had a chip on its shoulder this year. I think what we're going to see is a bigger chip on the team's shoulder this year, or next year, a bigger sense of purpose. Um, Ashley told the boys in the room tonight and told the press minimum of top four is the expectation for the team and for the club next year, and he seems angry enough to make that a reality.
I hope so. I hope so. We have Matt Wright joining us as a speaker. Matt, what did you think about the game tonight?
Man, I'm just so mad, dude. Like, it's not like that we lost. It's just how we lost. The refs, the you know, Diani. He. I don't. I don't think it was a penalty, but he gives the ref, the reason or an opportunity to call that. And, dude, like they ruined my night. I'll be honest with you. Like my blood is still boiling. Like, man, I'm just like I want to just like wish I was in one of those like rooms where you just can break all the things you can. Just so over it.
Yeah, I feel you. I'd say, take a deep breath, you let it out. We got to find a way to move on from this. I totally understand and agree with you about Diani. While that is a subjective call, you can't be giving the referee a reason to even potentially make that call. When the player didn't even have a shot on the goal or a realistic opportunity, that makes it even harder to swallow. Sometimes you just got to let that go. You have other defenders in place. I think Melanda was right there as well. You didn't need to be making, or that was on the free kick outside the box. Um,
And I think
there were several calls that did not go our way, and there were several mistakes that our players made that kind of put us in that position.
and I think that ball was going right to Kalina, wasn't it? I mean, if he didn't say like I got it, like don't do anything stupid. I got it, like man, just cannot do that at that time, and it just
Yeah. I mean, we can also talk about Diani lack of experience. We can talk about Pep Biel being the first penalty kick taker. That was kind of a head scratcher for me.
that was that
I
was garbage.
mean, you have Swiderski out there. Why
And
wouldn't
then
you
he
start
missed.
him? We got Ash Hammer with his hand up. What's up, Ash? What do you think?
I honestly think we're being a little bit too harsh on Diani in this situation because, like, contact much larger than that happens all the time in the box on set pieces, on corners, every single time. If you look at like corners that we had, I guarantee you that you have Orlando guys practically hugging our players and vice versa. And like, yeah, you don't want to give like ref an excuse, but that that was hardly even a tap on the shoulder and he just fell down. Why that was not given for simulation, I will never understand. Again, I think MLS won Orlando versus Miami, but I just no other ref in the world in any other league would call that a penalty. Only MLS refs, and I don't really think we can blame Diani for doing something that so many other players do and get away with. Because like if we were in his position, we probably wouldn't do anything different than he did.
Yeah, it looked like a regular soccer play to me as well. Currently, we have Atlanta beating Miami 2-1 in Miami. That was a early goal from Rojas for Inter, and then quickly followed up by 2 goals in 2 minutes from Theory. Is that how you say the name? I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but yeah, I mean, exciting one. I got to turn that on TV now that the Ascent game's over. I haven't even switched my TV over yet. But yeah, Carolina Ascent with a draw against Spokane. They remain undefeated on the season in the USL Super League. For those of you following the women's pro soccer team that just started up this year in Charlotte. I was told the Greenville Triumph lost earlier today, so they've been knocked out of the USL One playoffs. I had another request to speak here. So just a reminder, if you're in the chat and you would like to speak, go ahead and shoot me a request and I will get you up here. I would love to hear your thoughts. Any questions about Charlotte FC or any other soccer going on tonight, we'd love to hear it. I got Esteban up here.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I have you this time.
Okay. Well, I was not able to watch the game because actually I was on the road to come here at the Atlanta United against Miami. I'm at the stadium right now. But I was rooting for your team. Even if you died or not, I was rooting for Charlotte to win. Too bad I didn't win.
Esteban, it sounds like you're underwater on my side. Can anyone else hear him clearly?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, that's better.
Okay, I said that I was listening to the game while I was coming to the stadium because I'm watching the game live at Chase Stadium now, and I was hoping that your team won. I'm an Inter Miami fan, but I'm also a CLT fan, even though some fans don't think about it.
Yeah, Miami with a hard tackle there, man. Miami is still in this game for sure in Atlanta. We were hoping to win as well. But yeah,
It's gonna be a
Orlando
tough
had
one,
the
but
assist
I
of the
hope Miami
referee.
wins. And if they don't win, well, that's how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. They're behind right now, but they're still playing hard.
Oh, sorry.
You're good. You're good, man.
Almost. Anyways, Matt, is Matt online? Is Matt right online right now?
What's up?
Hello.
Yeah. Hey, can you hear us? All right. I am going to. I'm going to remove Esteban for now because it's kind of hard to hear him. But oh my goodness, that was a close one. Yeah, Brad Guzan wants a penalty, I think. All right, well, yeah. So as far as the Charlotte FC game tonight, there was a lot going on that game. Ajman had a tough physical play. It looked like he kind of was boxing a guy out with his arm, and they give him a yellow card and reviewed it for a red card, I believe, for contact to the face when he just had his arm out and he was blocking a guy. And, that's the kind of treatment we get while, meanwhile, Orlando players are diving all over the place. And it's absurd, watching a lot of these calls just continue to go against Charlotte. It makes me wonder, if other teams are donating money or other considerations to MLS or to the officials, the pro referees, what do we need to do to get David Tepper to donate some bucks on their side so we can get this kind of favorable treatment? Because it seems like game in, game out, it's the same old thing. I mean, Sam, what is up with this, man? It seems like consistently we are not getting a fair shake from these referees. Is there some kind of something we could do behind the scenes to maybe grease some palms and get on the right side of the law?
I don't know. I don't believe in conspiracy theories, even though in a game that physical where both sides are clear, like clearly, uh, a lot of rancor between the two sides, and Charlotte gets 6 yellow cards while Orlando gets one. That definitely seems a tad bit off. If what Diani did, was really deserving of a pen, like he didn't get a yellow for it. Um, it, it's also, I've mentioned this before. You know, I'm less likely to blame money changing hands, especially because it did seem like MLS headquarters really, really did not want them to give that penalty to Orlando, and I mean, if that decision was out there for 5 minutes, um, I don't think that's because MLS was telling the first official that he got the call right. However, um, I don't think we can end this season and in this game without mentioning. Um, I don't think that there is a team in MLS with as many large, tall, black men as Charlotte has, and uh, you know, I, I do gotta ask the eye test there if if they're getting a fair shake, because we do have we do have a team in the box a lot of the time that looks a lot different than most other teams in MLS. And as somebody who is also 6'6", 6'7" on a good day, um, I, I run into stuff all the time without meaning to. So I think there is a legitimate question of if our players are getting the fair shake, especially if there's as somebody mentioned earlier in this chat, there's a lot of stuff that folks were doing to Pat um, all season long that didn't get called, and we have this nominal foul from Diani that in Charlotte season, and I think that at pro referee school, some of these calls might be on the test, and I wonder what the correct answer will be.
Measured. I mean, on these spaces in the past, I've brought that up several times this season. I just, I have an interest in sociology of sport, the ways that different groups of people behave in the cultures within sport. And that is something that has a historical basis. You look at, in the NFL, white players versus black players, and there's different rates of fouls called sometimes. The way that broadcast crews refer to players and the attributes and the descriptions of the players will change based on their race. So there is this kind of unspoken, implicit bias within, I'm not just talking about officiating, but within sports in general. And as much of a worldwide sport as football or soccer is, um, that does still exist. And I think it's fair to question and say, we have some tall players, we have some dark skinned players, and it doesn't seem like they're getting a fair shake compared to other players out there on the pitch. Why is that? I think that's a fair question to ask. Um, it's tough, man. This is a tough loss, like you said. 6 yellow cards to 1. The broadcast crew was frustrating. I really wish I could have had, Willie P and Jess Sharman to listen to on this one. Um, it just, I feel like watching that game on mute might have been more instructive. um, what a way to go out, man. Diani, I mean, realistically, he's played very well. He's had some good games, but he's still young. He's still making mistakes. I have to ask the question, and we can talk more about this in the offseason. Could we have done more in that summer transfer window to bring in reinforcements, to put the pieces in place? Liel Abada with a masterful assist tonight. Karol Swiderski, for credit where it's due, being selfless and passing the ball off, going into the box to Liel Abada. And then Abada has that first move, that way to gain separation on a defender, which I've been harping on since the team acquired him. He's fast, he can cut, and getting that one, maybe yard or two of separation is the difference that allows him to create that assist into Karol Swiderski, who finishes strong and puts Charlotte ahead after the overturned Patrick Ajman goal. So credit where it's due, man. Swiderski being selfless, that was something that we wanted to see from him, or that I did. Abada with a masterful pass into the box, and Carroll finishes. So that's great, but realistically, we need more goals in the run of play. One goal against Orlando in a 3-game series is not good enough. That is quite frankly abysmal. That is pathetic. And we can't be giving the refs reasons to call back our goals. I know Pat was onside, but you know, I don't know. I don't know how you improve that one because he was onside by a mile. But in general, we need to score more in the run of play. So in the summer window, could we have brought in more attacking pieces? Pep Biel gets a red card in the first game against Orlando. Stupid, boneheaded decision in the closing seconds of the game, and he misses the entire second game. Comes back today. Uh, I think he had an okay game, but they give him the first penalty kick and he misses. And that pretty much sealed Charlotte's fate at that moment when he misses the first PK. What do you have FBL taking that first kick for? Sam, did Dean talk about his penalty kick lineup at all?
Yeah, Dean says he chose the order.
Is this one like before the season? He said he had his dog choose the lineup. I mean, what kind of decision making was it? Just random pulling names out of the hat, or was there some kind of a reason that Pep Biel starts out the PKs?
He didn't go into it. Obviously, the speculation from the commentators was the um, you know chance at redemption after the red card. But also, if I had to guess, we also know that they did not see Pep take a PK in the last match that went to PKs, which seems to me like a good reason to start him. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what to expect. He had not yet taken a PK in MLS, and he was the only player who you knew was going to be in your 5 who you couldn't say that of. Every other player in the five, Swiderski, Westy, especially. There's a lot of video of them taking PKs. So, I mean that would be why my guess. I think the other thing is that I would not be surprised if we get some roster decisions on Monday or Tuesday. So it's going to be interesting to see if the club exercises Pep's option. It'll be interesting to see if Swiderski gets cut loose. I starting Patrick today's match, I think you could read into tea leaves from Dean. Um, but also, we've got one very, very, very important contract that has not been inked um, for the top goal scorer for the team, and that's been something that we've been waiting to hear or figure out for a long time. Um, and there's clearly going to be a lot of. I think Dean is going to have a lot of leverage with the front office to talk about, like, this is the system he put together. He's put together a very capable back line. Um, it's he's got the fundamentals down. It's clear that the team needs more attacking options, and so he gets to go to Zoran and he gets to go to Tepper over the postseason and say, come watch a couple of these guys. Come over to Europe, watch a couple of these guys in some matches. Here are the people who I want to put on the team. And I think Charlotte's going to get like a Jude Bellingham level talent? No, but do I think that we could get maybe more like a tier below Jack Grealish, something like that? Yeah, I think that's in the realm of possibility, and I think Dean's demonstrated to the front office that he's worth putting the money behind, and that for the first time in Charlotte history, you won't be putting good money after bad.
I hear everything you're saying. I get where you're coming from. I do not know that personally. I have the faith in our front office to make those signings, even if they have those recommendations, unless those players are in, third tier leagues, developmental leagues. I have not seen us be able to sign a DP level player. Abada was an asterisk. That was a unique circumstance. And I think Abada is a phenomenal talent, but he certainly has not set MLS on fire. He's been serviceable, but we need DP level players. I don't know where those come from. We've been in discussions. We've been linked with some very, promising and high level players, but we haven't been able to get any of them across the finish line. So I hope Dean has some leverage with the front office because he's earned it, in my opinion. But Sam, do you have faith that we can close a deal on a star player?
Well, I think what you can show a lot of those guys is, especially, is Atlanta still ahead of Inter Miami?
Yeah, they are. This is a crazy game, man. Guzan is standing on his head. Atlanta's getting some attacking opportunities. This one is still wide open, but Atlanta's ahead for the moment.
Yeah, I do think that there are a lot of players who you could show this last game to and say, look, like, we are a team that should have advanced uh, to the quarterfinals.
I said
We're a
that
team.
Miami just scored. Oh, they just assaulted Brad Guzan. Holy shit. That should be a red card. They just assaulted Brad Guzan. They threw him into the net. What the hell? Miami scores, and then they attack Brad Guzan. I've never seen that before in my life. What is going on? Yeah, if you guys are not watching the Miami Atlanta game, turn this shit on. This is crazy. I think that was Leo Messi that scored. All right, let's watch the replay. Out on the
Yeah, it was messy.
out on the wing, Messi header, and then he goes running into the goal. It looks like Guzan makes some contact. Guzan turns into him, and then they take out Guzan. That's absurd. That's a red card on Miami. What is going on? There should be 2 red cards on Miami from what I'm seeing. Guzan turned and Messi ran into him, and then they pushed Guzan through the goal net, and then Suarez comes into his face and starts taunting him. There should be 2 red cards on Inter Miami right now. This is absurd. Okay, well, this is MLS. They're not going to give red cards to Inter Miami. I mean, game 3 of a playoff at Miami. But I've never seen players assault a goalkeeper and get to remain in the competition. That's crazy. All right, well, hey, Atlanta United is tied with Miami. This is currently going to PKs as it stands with probably 30 minutes total remaining. Yeah, Charlotte FC season is over. Controversial. I can't get over a goal called back and a goal given, and both of them seem like the wrong decisions. They seem to fly in the face of what I saw with my eyes, but here we are, man. It's kind of the story of the season. What can we do to change this team? I don't know. Like Sam is saying, is it the roster? Do we need to change some players here? We have a number of contracts expiring at the end of the year. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anybody here in chat? Um, you know,
I'll just end with one last thing. Like, look, the difference between Charlotte advancing in the playoffs was the way that the ball bounced off of Kalina's gloves. I mean that, like it's such a matter of inches type thing, that I understand definitely the level of frustration on the team, but I think for once, especially without with MAR gone, with Latanzio gone, with a fan base that you can really sell to the players. With I think Charlotte's secret weapon, if we go out and recruit people this year, um, over the over the winter break, is going to be Ashley Westwood, because tonight I heard from a guy who wants to call up his friends and wants to talk to people and tell them, come over to what we're building, over here in Charlotte. And, he's definitely like, Westy fully expects to be back next year wearing the armband. And I think most of the players who are out there, um, with the exception of a certain Polish DP, expect to be back. So we will see.
yeah, I completely agree with you from everything I'm seeing. I was biting my tongue, trying not to jump in and speak over you when you were building up to that. Ashley Westwood, absolutely the secret weapon. Everything I've heard from him, and more than that, everything I've seen from him, his mentality, the grind set, the physicality. This is a dude who was coming off of a leg injury, was considering retiring from the sport, and he transitions that within a year and a half into most distance traveled by a player in Major League Soccer in his mid 30s. I mean, absolutely insane from the captain, Ashley Westwood. This is a player I was very hesitant on Ashley. I didn't know if he had it, if he was going to be my captain. I knew he was the captain, but is he? Am I buying into what he's selling? And he won me over pretty early in the season. Just his grit, his determination, the relentlessness, getting the yellow cards because he cares so much that he's advocating for the other players on the team. Well, all of that won me over, and I think it's critical that uh, you empower Dean Smith, you empower Ashley Westwood, and you keep Brant Bronico doing exactly what he's doing, because I think Brant Bronico is that grind set, that uh, pace setter within the locker room, within the training sessions that you need, because that pushes everybody else to achieve more. Junior Urso is another player. I think you have to keep Junior Urso. I think he's going to be a great role player. Colina is the best goalkeeper in Major League Soccer. I hope we can keep him. if we get an offer for an obscene amount of money from another club, obviously I think you have to consider offers when they come in. But I mean, with the season he had, I would be shocked if there are not bigger clubs kicking the tires on Christian Kalina after this season. Adilson Malanda, same thing. He signed a contract extension, but he's very good. Andrew Privet, very good. I think you have to keep Nathan Byrne. I think Tim Ream has been phenomenal. The U.S. national team is keeping him on the roster for a reason. The dude was instrumental in tonight's game to clear that ball a number of times with the slightest touch. He can clear the ball in ways that nobody else on our roster can do. Ronan, I still think has a great place on the team. Then you get into the midfield. It's more of a question mark, right? Diani, he's a good young player, but I think that's a position we could upgrade. You look at central attacking mid or creative attacking mid. I think that's a position we need to improve. BL, I do not think he's a permanent answer. If you give him a 1-year extension, I could see it. I don't think he should have a DP level contract based on his performance. I think he's good. I think he could be a role player. He can play on the wing, obviously. He can play center, but I just haven't seen enough from him to justify a DP level deal if we can get a star player in his place. Wojciechowski's out. You have to re-sign Pat. Team leader in all stats. Pay Pat. He's a hero. I think everybody in the Charlotte fan base with a pulse loves Patrick Ajiman. Send up the Pat signal. You got to do it, man. Pay Pat. He deserves it. Vargas, I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about Vargas right now. A lot of potential, but he has not had a great season. A lot of questions and a lot of contracts that are going to, we'll be hearing more about, like Sam said, probably next week. Yeah, hang in there, Charlotte. This is a soccer city. And let's all pull for the ascent now that FC is over, man. Carolina sent undefeated in the season, number 1 on the table in the USL Super League, and they still have a number of home games remaining. So let's all turn up and turn out for them. Have a great night. Be safe, and I'll see you next time for the Crown.